The West Philippine Sea Newsletter, Volume 4. MASA 2024 Exercise, Establishment of the JPMRC Trespass Deadline, and Anniversary of the Philippine Independence. This week, the Philippines continue to strengthen its capabilities to assert its internationally recognized sovereignty, challenging China's bold claims over the South China Sea and the West Philippine Sea. China's illegal actions continued across the region as it sent a survey ship into Vietnamese Exclusive Economic Zone, or EEZ, which led to a rebuke from Vietnam. The Vietnamese incident with China demonstrates how smaller powers in the region have remained consistently vigilant against a predatory China. Unlike Vietnam, the Philippines has a series of alliances that is fostering to give it more options to stand up to Chinese illegal activities when compared to its Pacific neighbor, Vietnam. This week, the Philippines continue to foster those alliances to guarantee its security and sovereignty. MASA 2024, which stands for Marine Aviation Support Activity, began at the Philippine facility at Fort Bonifacio, which is in the Philippines Army's national headquarters and is in Metro Manila area. The exercise commenced on June 3, 2024, with a scheduled conclusion date of June 21, 2024. In the exercise, the United States Marine Corps, Army, and Air Force joined the Philippine Marine Corps, Air Force, and the Naval Air Wing. The exercise will take place between northern Luzon and the Palawan Island. The exercise focuses on aviation activities and littoral operations, including live fire exercise, with the goal of increasing the interoperability of the two nations' armed forces for military contingency operations, first aid, and disaster relief. MASA 2024 starts about 6 weeks after the Balikatan 2024 exercise, which was the largest joint exercise this year between the two nations. MASA 2024 is a more modest exercise with under 3,000 personnel, but its purpose is to continue to prepare and increase the efficiency of the Philippine Armed Forces by increasing their readiness and interoperability with international partners as they show to China. The Philippines is sharing its experience in littoral areas with the United States, which is crucial for operations in the Pacific Island chain, while the U.S. is sharing its capabilities to enhance operations with the Philippine forces. On June 10, 2024, the Philippine and U.S. Army ended Salacanib 2024 exercise at Fort Magsaysay. The main goal of the exercise was to establish a Joint Operations Center, or JOC, at the fort, which is the largest military reservation in the Philippines. It is also part of the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement between the United States and Philippines, which allows the U.S. Armed Forces to operate, though not permanently be stationed there. The two nations established the Joint Pacific Multinational Readiness Center Exportable, or JPMRC-X. The JOC will provide real-time information sharing, joint planning, and the execution of military operations between the nations. This is another first for the Philippines, as well as an important step in interoperability between the United States and the Philippines. This aligns with the Philippines' goal of enhancing its ability to collaborate with the most modern militaries, thereby enhancing its security through the West Philippine Sea. Additionally, it provides the U.S. with an additional capability to challenge China and development that is also beneficial to the Philippines. The reason that interoperability and experience working with the most advanced militaries are important to the Philippines is the nature of the Chinese threat in the region. China, being the largest nation in the region, not only uses its economic and military superiority to threaten most countries, but also employs the gray zone tactic of its maritime militia as an additional layer of state-guided intimidation against its neighbors. China also intimidates smaller countries by forcing them to only engage in their bilateral disagreements, which gives the advantage to dictating terms to the smaller nations. The Philippines' defense alliance with the U.S. and Japan, as well as its willingness to coordinate with France, the U.K., Australia, indicates that it is disregarding China's demands for bilateral-only negotiations. China routinely criticizes the Philippines for bringing foreign elements into the regional disagreements saying that it is acting recklessly and increasing the likelihood of destabilizing the region. The Philippines is leveraging its unique advantages of having close relationships with regional partners to frustrate China's strategy of intimidating smaller powers, which makes China look like a petulant child on the world stage. This also shows that the Philippines' national strategy to stand up for its rights is making progress. There is a potential flashpoint to watch this week in the West Philippine Sea. The Chinese declared that they were going to begin arresting all foreign invaders in the South China Sea starting on June 15th. This Chinese announcement came after the Scarborough Shoal incident in May when Aten Ito, a Philippine NGO that supports Philippine sovereignty in the West Philippine Sea, was able to get around a forming Chinese blockade to resupply Philippine fishermen, which enraged the Chinese government. Before the deadline, Commodore Roy Vincent Trinidad, a spokesman for the Philippine Navy, reported that there were 146 Chinese ships in the West Philippine Sea, including 22 warships, and that number had increased from 125 ships last week. The Chinese threat to arrest any foreign trespassers in the South China Sea entails a 60-day prison sentence in China without a trial. The concern is that China will attempt arrests, stating it has a legal claim and will try to provoke nations in the region to be the first to fire and allow China to act aggressively, stating that it is only moving to restore lawful order in the region. This is a gray zone tactic used against adversarial governments. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. stated this week that the Philippines is ready for any eventuality and that the Philippine Navy, in return, has stepped up patrols in the region. Excuse me. The United States has declared its readiness to support the Philippines, with the U.S. Coast Guard assisting the country to prevent detention of Philippine fishermen. The Philippines has stated that it will not mirror the tactics of the Chinese, and it's committed to nonviolence unless it responds to violence committed against it. This greatly frustrates China's attempts to use the first-to-fire strategy to justify aggressive actions against the Philippines or any other country that have disputes with China in the South China Sea. Excuse me. The Chinese cannot withdraw the policy because it would set a precedent, lose credibility in international affairs, and disregard domestic public opinion. The most probable outcome is that the Chinese will again be frustrated by the Philippines and will most likely exercise newfound flexibility in their order, or will maintain the policy as stated but steer clear of any incidents, thus avoiding the escalation. All this hinges on the prevailing calmness that begins on June 15th. On June 12, 2024, the region celebrated the 126th anniversary of the Philippines' Declaration of Independence from Spain, marking the end of 300 years of Spanish colonial rule. The declaration was made after the U.S. defeated the Spanish fleet in Manila Bay in May 1898. Spain ceded the Philippines to the United States as part of the Treaty of Paris in 1898. Unfortunately, an insurrection against the new colonial power of the United States delayed the Philippine independence for almost 5 decades. It was not until July 4, 1946, the United States and the Philippines agreed to full independence of the island nation, and the U.S. withdrew from being a colonial power there. The U.S. has learned through the insurrection, the Japanese occupation, Cold War, the War on Terror, that there is truly no more tenacious foe than the Philippine people, and no greater friend to have than the Philippine people. Philippine activities in the regions and its relentless dedication to ensuring its internationally recognized sovereignty are important in maintaining the balance of power in the region, which allows the free flow of shipping through the South China Sea. It has also served as an example of how to stand up to China's lawless actions, as China continues its illegal actions. There will be challenges and setbacks, but the Philippines will continue to demonstrate how regional alliances, despite China's protests, are the way forward to press China on the international stage.